we'll take a look at what we have concerning the 28 names, first tranche, one will say, or first batch, others will say, sent to the National Assembly for approval. I know the approval comes with rigorous screening. Irrespective of the screening, most time we see that they all scale through. And to do this, I have with me a public affairs journalist. Well, we call him Comrade Wilson Agaba. Very good morning.
Good morning to you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Dominic is also in the studio. And quickly, let's get your remark concerning the name that President Tinubu actually headline those names on Thursday.
Well, I wouldn't say I was any surprised about the list. Because, before the list came out, we were aware that the president is one who rewards people that have worked with him or helped him in some area. And then some people also try to sell the idea of the president being someone who has an eye for picking technocrats that can help him deliver the country at a time like this, just like he did in Lagos. But of course, to that extent, I am not very surprised. I'm seeing, we are seeing former governors.
Four former governors.
We are seeing some people who are currently aides to the president, and we see a few technocrats. I'm not surprised. There are still about 11 more states yet to be represented in that list. So I think more to come. And then we have, I think, 7 women out of the 28 names. That's about 25% representation. About 10% short of what he promised during the campaign and what he actually did. But of course, that can still be made up in the remaining 11 states that's coming up. It is only by ministers and engage women. So until they get working.
Yeah, but what do you actually expect from the list? More of technocrats or politicians?
It is not what I would expect. It is what I would want or wish. What I would expect is what I have seen. Because I know that we still run a system where people get into the office and they reward people who help them to get into the office with position. Some of these positions has even been termed as juicy positions, you know. So, and as long as we to run that system of governance, we will never get anywhere. We should be able to point where I run for president, and you on your own sit down, take a look at me and say, this man's ideology looks like it will work. I am going to support him with my resources to make sure he gets there. And when he gets there, what you want to do to help him is to begin to bring people whom you think can help him in different departments and say, sir, I supported you not because I want anything from you, but I want you to succeed so that it would not look like I supported something wrong. I am hereby suggesting XYZ who has expertise in this area to work with you. I don't want anything, but I want your dreams to come true because it also aligns with my dream. If that begins to happen, then we can see a president who will come to power, and you will see a plethora of competent people from all life being thrown at him to help him deliver this thing. But see a situation where people want for supporting you, you can never get a list that will meet what I wish for. I wish for a list that will bring in competent people who would be able to put our problem on the table and say, what is our challenge right now? Where would we want to be? What are the resources at our disposal? What are our constraints? How can we manage some constraints? How can we eliminate some constraints? How can we downplay some constraints and get to the goal? That's the kind of ministerial list I would want to see.
So who are the incompetent people in this list?
Oh, well, I think you are trying to railroad me into a place where...
No, you say you want to see more competent people.
Because
so who are the incompetent?
If you look at the list, some of the guys there, like you mentioned, his former aides and all that, are people that have worked with him before.
Yes.
And we keep giving credence to what the president done when he was a governor of Lagos State. So are you now saying that he's still compensating people, or he's looking at who can deliver, going by the president of Lagos State government?
Well, look, let's not misinterpret my assertion. Please. I had expectation, my wish, right? But then I said my expectation was met, right? Because in that, I have posited that the people whom I think will be on that list are mostly peace. All right? Then I also made a condition. It is also impossible for you in this type of democracy to leave those who help you get to position to go and bring competent people. Now, but that does not mean the current people are not perfect. But the next question is that, could he have gotten more competent people? You know?
So what's your own definition of confident people in the cabinet of a sitting president? Definitely people who assisted him into power. I don't play that in all administration. This is not the first time.
I may put to give you a list and names of competent people, but to give you a scenario of what competence can do in an administration. Look at the policy that the president to us so far. Let's look at the removal of fuel subsidy. Do we need to remove fuel subsidy? Yes. Or at least tweak it. Now, removal of subsidy, is it the best thing to have happened to us? Maybe yes. But is that the way to have removed it? Is that the only way to have removed it? We can all feel the impact today. All right? Now, the question is, if this is the way this administration has removed it, although it was done when he doesn't have a cabinet yet, doesn't it tell you that competence has not been exploited to the best? I can, to the top of my head, 2 ways in which you can remove fuel subsidy. Number one, if you remove fuel subsidy, cost of what will be directly affected, every other thing will be indirectly affected. How about you fix energy problem? If we have a robust public transport system, which by the way the government does not need to fund, set it up, and then you have private investor invest in it. You can even go straight, because it's government. You can have a Nigerian urban mass transport system, and then you go straight to the NSE and raise. And then these companies are run by individuals, and then they can have partnership with car manufacturers who will produce the buses and taxis they will use and also maintain it. And then their monies will be paid to straight charges to the passengers. Then you can come together with platforms that aid payment. We have a lot of them. We have very competent ones that originate from Nigeria. I advocate that we use service of Nigerians. All right, so you bring them to the platform for collection. So there will be no cash involved, so that stealing will not be possible. So you can have that running. And these vehicles can run on compressed, the CNG we have so much talked about. Some of them, inner city, can run on power. The deficit between what we can transmit and what we can distribute, about 5,000 megawatts. We can harness that one to power electric vehicles within cities. That is on the one side. Once you deliver that, you have created a decent option for people to commute daily. And then we have new electricity bill act, which allows for people to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity now. So electricity is no longer on the exclusive list. So if we focus on that to bring private individuals into it, to quickly facilitate our ability to distribute. Let's even start from the distribution, because the last data I am aware of shows that we can generate 10,000 megawatts we are able to transmit 7,500 megawatts, and we are only able to distribute 2,500 megawatts. So if we begin to put more to distribute the entire 7,500 megawatts, it will ameliorate issues of power. For the past 4 days, for instance, I have not had power in my area, and within that 4 days, I spent in excess of 10,000 naira trying to keep the food my wife has kept in the fridge cool so that it doesn't get bad. But if there was power, I wouldn't spend that much, you know. So if you have done this, another aspect is, where are the challenge subsidy? Before the Buhari administration came, you had people submitting papers to claim subsidy for what they did not supply. And then some people who even bring it, collect it, and take it to neighboring countries. Then the Buhari administration said, okay, NNPC import solely and sell at a given price so that we can regulate the final price to the consumer. Then even when break even, sell at a loss so that they can sell at a given price. That is the concept of under here about. Now, where is the problem in that? People then take it to other countries. But what if it's subsidy? Well, instead of paying at the source, let's pay at consumption. To now register people through our tax channel. Register your car, register your generator, and the CBN gives you a card. And whenever you go to buy, an amount is charged to you, an amount is charged to the CBN.
But that will be more disastrous. You know how it is with the system. Everybody is selfish, and for anyone that is in charge with this kind of stuff, gets people tell him this is the way to go about it so that you can be rich.
So
you understand? So that will not work. When it comes to the issue of subsidy, many experts have said there's no better time than now, because if you have to wait for the electric whatever to be in, we'll spend another 10 years. We are still battling.
No, you see, I didn't start advocating this from when
but the point
we
is,
started this advocacy from when Buhari was elected.
Yes.
And we told them, if you are going to remove the next 8 years, the time to start is now. And I would since they are the same party, this ought to have been a continuum.
Agaba, this has been there for over 10 years. Remember when Jonathan tried it, the country was until he reversed it. So, but let's just leave that aside and focus on the ministerial list. Some persons, believe that there are some persons that should not be on that list.
On what grounds?
Yeah. Everybody has his own definition of why he feels that he should not be on that list. For example, the 4 governors. Some people believe that what are they coming to offer? Is it a retirement kind of benefit for supporting the administration to come on board? Should we have ex-governors on the list?
Of course, why shouldn't we? We should have ex-governors on the list. If we have governors who have done very well in their state, why shouldn't we bring them to the federal to come and showcase, to come and add to add value to what is done at the federal? Were we not all advocating that a Zulum should become the next president? Is it not because he did well? So even though he's from the north, he's a Muslim. Buhari is from the north and a Muslim. If APC presented a Zulum, don't you think that most Nigerians would have accepted him? Because he has proven himself worthy in the heat of Boko Haram, in the heat of terrorism. In fact, I heard the state has been cut off from the national grid for a long time. But the man is still doing a lot of things, building schools. I heard he has even floated public transport with some buses recently. Where is he getting his subvention from? So will such a person not add value to Nigeria if we bring him to the federal? So it is not a crime to have ex-governors as ministers. The question is, what is their resume? What have they achieved? What have they achieved as state governors before you are now bringing them to the ministerial list? That is what question would be asking in an ideal society. But unfortunately for us, and I'm sorry to say this, we are not an ideal society. Our democracy is still emerging. We'll get there one day. So for the moment, we'll have to make do with what we have. I personally don't think that there's nobody who shouldn't be on that list. Shouldn't, you know. There is nobody who the law cannot be on that list, and that is currently on the list. So based on that, I don't think I see anything wrong. But we all have our wish list. Don't you wish that maybe you could be on that list? And if I was on the list now, Dominic, wouldn't you be happy? At least today you'll be talking to...
I'll be talking to a minister. But let's look at what is going to be playing out today, this Monday. The Senate will begin screening for the nominees, how these lists are being sent to the Senate without portfolio. Now, we've talked about some persons who ought to be on the list. Probably they are not there. And those, you know, when we started getting circulations of fake names, people were permutating, this person should not be there. Now, what should the Senate be looking at from these nominees? We don't know their portfolios, but from the antecedent, you should be able to say, okay, fine, this person should be posted to a particular ministry. To you, as an analyst, what would you be expecting the Senate? How should they drill these persons to get the best from them before the president begins to allocate? But if the president knows the outcome of this screening?
You know that for a long time, some of us have stated that every ministerial list should come with portfolio. But you see, it is not a constitutional requirement. And I think it is still the Senate and the House of that can make that happen. But I also wonder why they complain most times. And some of them have been there since even the first assembly in 1999. Some have been here and all of that, and they have got it. But nobody have sponsored a bill to make it mandate the portfolio. Because I sit down and I ask myself, I was for a long time, and I have managed schools, asking myself, if I'm given a list of candidates to interview for teaching position, you know, and I don't know the subject they are going to teach, how am I supposed to interview them? It's going to be a very difficult one because each has its own peculiarity. So it is for ministries. Every ministry has its own peculiarity. You will need to understand the politics, you will need to understand the technical angle, and understand the social angle. You know, all of these have to come to play. So what question would I, as a senator, ask a would-be minister when I don't know what he's going to do? Maybe I will just settle to questions on character, questions on previous achievements, maybe. So I don't think it's going to be there's no serious question you can ask.
What about the governors that are coming back, we've done before, and then we have members of the National Assembly, about 3 or 4 of them will take about.
What is what they have done before? Can they do?
That's the question, because definitely
it's something that we should really interrogate. If you have done it when you are the CEO of your state, can you do it when you are answerable to someone?
You know, another issue.
Even the hurdles of crossing directors in these various ministries and the PAMSEC is something else.
Of course, it's not like we see in what they have seen in their states, where they were the dictator. Most governors have more powers than the president at national level. As the governor, what they say is what their state assembly will do, is what their state judiciary will do. In fact, the local government system, and nobody could question. Even as the administration made an executive to give local government and state autonomy, they protested that they didn't want it. You know, that is how powerful governors are. You now come to a situation where you report to somebody every Wednesday, and then you get to do your work, and the PAMSEC is telling your guy, you can be fired in the next 1 year. Don't come and talk to me. We have been here. and you will be out of here. Latest, I mean, if you stay too long, maybe 4 years. If you are very lucky and your guy comes back, you stay 8 years. We will still be here before you are gone. You know, so it's going to be difficult. That's why I say the politics of it. You know, so maybe these are areas they want to look at. And another thing that I was wondering this morning, I said, why would someone who already won the Senate seat leave that seat to go and take it? Why would someone won the Senate seat whose tenure is almost assured for 4 years go and take a ministerial appointment where you can be fired even tomorrow if the press issues to? And
there's nothing you can do about it.
And there's nothing you can do. You can't even go to court. You can decide to say, okay, you see the way I look at your face this morning, I don't like
except when you're not paid, you can go and say, I'm not to be paid.
I'm working, but I'm not paid. But if the man looks at you and says, I look at your face this morning, I don't think I like you anymore, go home.
Maybe it's due to what Senator in question, David Umai, who is part of the ministerialist, has done in turning around Ebonyi State. I, for one, have been in that state close to 7 years, and I've seen the changes during this tenure. Probably could give the reason why the president decided to make him part of his cabinet. But my own concern now is the way the drilling is being done by the National Assembly for their own members. We've not gotten to the point that you keep aside this party thing, politics thing, and said, okay, tell us what you can deliver, instead of taking a bar and go.
No, but you see, I don't blame the National Assembly. It is all politics. And it is a matter of we are colleagues. And after all, the Constitution has not required us to do the right thing. And we are not even serious to get the Constitution to that level. I don't know what it would take for us to say that the president, I think it was the National Assembly that made the law to say that a president must submit list of nominees 60 days into his election at most. Was it not possible to also make that law, to add to that order? And when you submit the list, it must also come with the portfolio of the nominees. They could have done that, but for some reason they didn't do it. Is it not something for us to ask questions about? So if that is not there, portfolios are not there, sir, I tell you, you will kill anybody sincerely. Anything you do, you are just trying to show yourself, but you can't drill the person. But this man is being nominated for the Minister of Agriculture. I'll be able to fire agri questions at him. I'll be able to tell him, what do you think is the problem of agriculture in Nigeria? I'll be able to tell him, what is your assessment of the effort? And I'll be able to ask him a question like, what are you going to do differently? And drill him. If they say this person is going to be a health minister, I'll be able to ask him, our health sector has been a mess. What do you do to where we are now, to the level where XYZ country is? What's the difference between Nigeria's health system and this country's health system that we dream to be like? What did they do? How well do you understand it? Can you replicate it here? What will be your constraint? What skills do you think you have to bring on board? You see, here you are asking sincere questions that can put the person to the test. And that at the end of the day, you'll be able to say, I don't think they got out for the job. Oh, I think this person should be tried on the job. Why you give me names? What am I going to do? The only thing I can ask at this point is to start asking to start assessing the person. If you have corruption issues, if you have issues of lack of performance in your previous job, and all those things I'm supposed to know already. Are you the one that is doing? So basically, what assembly we do is ceremonial, in my own opinion. It's my opinion, please.
Okay, Mr. Nagaba, thank you so much for your time with us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.